But notice what this means. Every working age adult in any economy has already had invested in them the resources of society.
Richard Wolff offers a critical perspective on the current state of global economics, highlighting the implications of military presence, political shifts, and economic inequalities. His insights challenge conventional narratives and encourage a deeper understanding of the forces shaping our world. Before we dive in, if you've ever thought about investing, the first link in the description takes you to Interactive Brokers, the platform I use. The global military presence, the United States maintains a vast network of military bases across the globe. This presence is unparalleled. No other nation comes close to matching it. The sheer scale of these bases is staggering, numbering between 700 and 800. This military footprint serves not only as a deterrent, but also as a means of exerting influence. These bases are costly. They require significant financial resources and manpower. Yet the implications extend beyond mere expenses. They shape international relations and global power dynamics. The U.S. military presence often signals a threat or a promise of protection. This duality complicates perceptions of American intentions abroad. For many countries, the sight of American troops can evoke a mix of fear and respect. The military might of the U.S. is a constant reminder of its global dominance. However, this can also breed resentment and opposition. Nations may view the U.S. as an imperial force rather than a protector. The symbolism of military engagement. Military engagement carries profound symbolism. It signifies power, control, and influence. For the United States, the naval fleet stationed in the South China Sea is a prime example. While this presence is often framed as a defense of allies like Taiwan, the underlying message is one of dominance. The U.S. military's positioning can be interpreted as a challenge to rising powers, particularly China. This dynamic fuels tensions and complicates diplomatic relations. The symbolism of military power is not lost on other nations. It shapes their perceptions and responses to U.S. actions. Moreover, the military's presence can serve as a tool for propaganda. It allows the U.S. to project strength. Yet this strategy can backfire. Countries may unite against perceived aggression, forming coalitions that challenge U.S. interests. Thus, the symbolism of military engagement is a double-edged sword. Opposition to the Ukraine conflict. The war in Ukraine has sparked significant opposition within Europe. Many citizens view the conflict as a disastrous mistake. This sentiment transcends political lines. Both pro-capitalist and anti-capitalist individuals share concerns over the war's implications. Critics argue that the war is a waste of resources. They highlight the irony of funding a conflict while social programs face cuts. This situation breeds frustration among the populace. Many Europeans feel their leaders are prioritizing military engagement over domestic welfare. This growing discontent could lead to political repercussions. Elections in several European countries reflect a shift in public sentiment. Traditional political parties face challenges as voters seek alternatives. The opposition to the Ukraine conflict is symptomatic of a broader rejection of the status quo. Political shifts in Europe. Recent elections in Europe indicate a significant political shift. Voters are increasingly rejecting established political parties. In Britain, France, and Germany, the results reveal a desire for change. In France, a coalition of leftist parties gained substantial support. This shift highlights a growing discontent with centrist politics. Meanwhile, in Germany, a right-wing party garnered unexpected success. Such developments suggest a fracture in traditional political alliances. This trend is not isolated. It reflects a broader dissatisfaction with conventional governance. Citizens are demanding new solutions to pressing issues. The political landscape is evolving, and the implications are profound. The impact of Brexit. Brexit has had lasting repercussions for the United Kingdom. The decision to leave the European Union has not yielded the promised benefits. Instead, many citizens are grappling with economic challenges exacerbated by the split. Brexit was sold as a solution to various problems. However, the reality has been starkly different. The British economy has faced difficulties. Citizens are realizing that leaving Europe did not resolve their issues. This disillusionment could fuel further political changes. As the working class suffers, they may seek alternative political representation. The impact of Brexit serves as a cautionary tale for other nations considering similar paths. Rising political extremism. The rise of political extremism is a concerning trend in Europe. Countries are witnessing the emergence of far-right and far-left movements. These factions often capitalize on public discontent and economic hardship. In Germany, the resurgence of a right-wing party signifies a return to dangerous ideologies. This development is particularly alarming given the country's history. It raises questions about societal values and the future of democracy. Meanwhile, leftist movements are gaining traction in response to economic inequality. Citizens are increasingly frustrated with the status quo. As a result, they are turning to radical solutions. The political landscape is becoming more polarized, and the potential for conflict rises. Economic decline in Britain. The economic decline in Britain is a pressing issue. Many citizens feel the weight of this decline in their daily lives. The cost of living has soared, wages have stagnated. This has led to widespread discontent. Brexit has exacerbated these challenges. The promise of prosperity has not materialized. Instead, the economy has taken a hit. Industries that relied on European partnerships have suffered. Trade barriers have made it difficult to maintain previous levels of commerce. As the economy falters, public services are under strain. Healthcare, education, and social services face funding cuts. This creates a vicious cycle. The more the economy declines, the more essential services are compromised. China's economic growth. China's economic growth is a remarkable story. Over the past few decades, it has lifted millions out of poverty. This achievement is significant on a global scale. The Chinese government has invested heavily in infrastructure. This includes roads, bridges, and schools. The growth is not just about numbers. It represents a shift in global dynamics. China is becoming a leader in technology and manufacturing. This has allowed it to compete with established powers. However, challenges remain. Wealth inequality is rising. The gap between rich and poor is widening. The government must address these disparities to ensure long-term stability. The Nigerian economic context. Nigeria's economic context is complex. It is a nation rich in resources yet plagued by poverty. With a population of 220 million, it holds immense potential. However, the current GDP is a fraction of that of wealthier nations. The disparity is stark. The United States has a GDP that is 50 times larger. This is an unsustainable situation. Nigerians are increasingly aware of the inequalities. Many seek opportunities abroad for a better life. The frustration among the populace is palpable. Citizens want change. They desire a system that provides for all, not just a select few. Challenges of economic inequality. Economic inequality is a pressing global issue. It fuels social unrest and dissatisfaction. The gap between the rich and the poor is growing wider. This trend is evident in both developed and developing nations. In Britain, the working class feels abandoned. They see their conditions deteriorating while the wealthy thrive. This creates a breeding ground for anger and resentment. In Nigeria, the situation is even more dire. The majority of the population lives in poverty. Meanwhile, a small elite controls significant wealth. This stark contrast is not sustainable. It leads to instability and conflict. Comparative political ideologies. Political ideologies are evolving in response to economic challenges. Traditional parties are losing support. Voters are seeking alternatives. This shift is evident in many countries. In Europe, both left and right movements are gaining traction. They capitalize on public discontent with the status quo. Citizens are frustrated with conventional politics. In the United States, a similar trend is emerging. People are becoming disillusioned with both major parties. They demand new solutions to pressing issues. This discontent could reshape the political landscape. The future of global cooperation. The future of global cooperation is uncertain. As nations grapple with internal challenges, collaboration becomes more critical. The need for dialogue and partnership is evident. Countries must find common ground. Addressing issues like poverty, inequality, and climate change requires collective action. A fragmented world will only exacerbate existing problems. Despite differences, there is potential for cooperation. Nations can learn from each other's successes and failures. The path forward lies in understanding and addressing shared challenges. If you're concerned about your financial security and are thinking about investing, check out the first link in the description. It's the platform I use, Interactive Brokers. Click the link to learn more.